Hello, hello. Oh, wait, I should listen to myself. There's no more need for not understanding what I'm saying. I totally forgot that that's something that we had on. But hello, hello.
Hi.
If you're watching on Twitch, we have closed captions if you can't hear. So if you're there, please ignore it when it's sometimes weird. I feel like it is also really long, but you can turn it on and off, and I think you can change some stuff about it as well. But you can also just turn it off by hiding it. But also, if you're on Twitch, we have emojis now. So if you're subscribed to the Twitch, the Crytek Twitch channel, you get your custom hunt. And at the moment, also climb emojis because there's going to be a climb stream tomorrow. But anyways, we're talking about hunt today. And what did we talk about last week? Can we get a little recap?
So yeah, this is the second part of the dev stream for the Road to 113, which is the upcoming update. So far, at the moment, it doesn't look like we can deploy today, but very, very likely we'll still have a chance to do that before the weekend. But so no guarantees. We might get some information maybe during the stream, but at the moment, I'm not too confident that today is gonna work out. There's some technical issues still on the deployment side. But it looks like if everything works out, then tomorrow we should see that on the test servers.
Exactly.
So let's see what's actually in it. But as you said, let's maybe first recap a little bit what we talked about the last time. Woohoo! So we had introduced two additional new weapons, which is the Springfield 1866 and the Martini Henry IC1. So two new weapons. I think weapons are always good. Specifically, the Springfield is like the second medium ammo rifle that we finally have in the game. It's also available right from rank 1, a single shot weapon. So I think that's definitely something that people were looking forward to quite a lot because it gives you like quite a boost, especially in the early game or after prestiging. If you are the guy who prefers long range fighting and longing for finally unlocking your sparks. The second one actually plays into the same area. It's also a one-shot weapon. The Martini Henry, it's basically what the Lebel was to the Mosin is what the Martini Henry is to the Sparks. It's a one-shot long ammo weapon. Has a slightly slower traveling bullet. So obviously at long range, maybe you need to lead a little bit more, so it's maybe less effective, but it is actually a much faster reload speed. So like in short to mid range, this actually is quite of a nice idea. So it depends on your playstyle. You can go either for the Sparks or if you go for the Martini Henry.
Are you guys saying we're honking the mic or like bonking the microphone?
Are we?
I don't hear anything. Okay, maybe not.
Hi.
Continue.
So yeah, we had these two new weapons we announced, and then we also talked about the anti-camping mechanics, which is basically a mix of different features, different changes in order to promote a bit more active gameplay. So encourage people to actually be more active, move around more, and be less campy. That manifested in 3 different areas. One was to give players a bit more items or access to items to push through stalemates. So we introduced the new item box, which is basically similar to the ammo boxes, a piece of like supply station you can go to, and then either it refills a tool or it gives you a random new consumable. That's kind of similar to what the looting is doing, which is also changed to not refill your consumables you spend, but also give you a random new one as a chance or refill any of the tools. And then as a consequence, also we introduced a change to both Pack Mule and Frontierman. So rather than giving that 4th slot, you now have 4 by default, and these traits have been repurposed. And for that, we had Pack Mule giving you a refill of 2 things. So maybe you get one tool refilled, maybe you get 1 random consumable, or maybe you get 2 random consumables, or maybe it refills two tools if you have used any. So that was going to change a little bit to make sure these traits stay relevant. And Frontierman was changed so that it gives you an additional charge. So if you're going to a mission with a medkit, now you have 4 rather than 3 charges, or you can place more traps, or you can have more fuses, more flare pistol shots, etc. So that was the anti-camping stuff from the first category. The second category was we made sure that the bosses are a bit more visible and audible in that regard. So you want to better understand that a boss actually is around and that he's not being camped. For example, one of the complaints we've received quite a lot over the last month since we deployed 1.0 was that the meta shifted to people sitting in boss arenas after killing the boss, not doing the banishing and hoping for people to be just rushing to the boss as well, not really considering that maybe the boss is dead.
Yeah, that's really weird. I hear it too, but there's nothing moving. It's like someone does like ticks. What? I hear it now too, but there's nothing happening, which is really weird.
Maybe it's in the game. It's a video maybe in the background.
It's like we're touching a
Maybe you're Morsing alongside, maybe in like new communications channel we opened up a Morse code.
No. It's really weird. Okay, well, let's see if it keeps happening.
Guess we have to talk over it.
No, but it's really strange. It's really if someone just goes on a mic and does every once in a while. But now it's just continue. Don't touch anything.
Okay. So yeah, the second one was making the bosses more audible, and that primarily means if you are close to a boss, and so you approach a boss and you get close to the area, you will hear like a whispering sound that kind of reveals that the boss is around and that it's active. So if you don't hear the sound, you know the boss should be there. Very likely he's dead and being camped. And then if you get really close, that anyone within even the outer range that I just mentioned will hear a bit more excited, a bit more aggressive whispering. So you know that players are actually close by. So that hopefully addresses two things. That's our intention at least. It addresses live boss camping, so just sitting in the neighbor building, waiting for another team to initiate and then rushing them, as well as camping a dead boss in regard to just waiting for someone to open the door and blast them with a shotgun. None of these mechanics are silver bullets, obviously, but they kind of incentivize players a little bit to say that if you're close to the boss, well, go and kill it. Sound goes away. You play the objective, you play the mission as intended. So a little update on that one. So we shown a video about this last time, and the audio guys have continued with the mixing and the sound design. So unfortunately, since we were hoping we could really show that to you on the test server today, we didn't prepare a video for it, but like tomorrow you will be able to hear the final version of it finally. And that one has been obviously adjusted, so it's a little bit less noisy than it was on the stream, and also on the video that we showed, the second part, like the inner radios, the aggressive whisper, that wasn't even there yet, so you will be able to actually kind of try that out. It doesn't feel too intrusive, but obviously there is parts of it that is meant to be intrusive because we want you to kill the boss, and therefore ideally sitting around that area waiting for another team is not the desired option. The third pillar for anti-camping is basically a reward. It's an accolade card you would get at the end of the summary screen, and that would convert any remaining time into bonus bounty if you extract with the bounty token. So there's a reason for you to not sit in the boss arena with a bounty, but actually dash to the exit, make a run for it, because every minute that's left in the mission is a minute that you would get some bounty for. So in combination, these three pillars are meant to address various different types of camping, various different types of how the people have been either active or have kind of come up with a dominant strategy of not being active, and kind of tries to stir this up and break it up a little bit. And obviously they are, for the most part, very much interesting for newer players that yet have to learn the ropes, that we want to get into the game. Obviously we want to grow the community, and for them having an easier time understanding what is happening and getting into this, which maybe a veteran player with hundreds of hours obviously very easily understands even without a sound, is a helpful mechanic. So it's something which is important for us to stress out, that also helps us grow the community. So what else would we have? Trade adjustments. Yes, so we also talked about that certain trades got upped and lowered when it comes to their upgrade point costs. So in general, it was just adjusting to the meta a little bit, like things that were used a lot or that we found were very powerful and maybe too powerful. The price got a bit of a boost in order to maybe encourage some of the other trades also to shine again. The list of that you can look up in the previous stream, or later on when we go on the test servers, you can just check the changelog for the details. So yeah, that's what we talked about last week.
Yeah, but we got a lot of stuff planned this week, so let's just move on to that.
Yes, so what could be the next things be? Let's start small, I guess.
I already saw one person mention, like, oh, I would like this for this weapon and this for that one.
Oh, yeah, I think maybe we'll talk about weapons a little bit as well. But let's talk about bug fixes. So we still have been dragging around a bit of a legacy, right? We introduced a couple of issues or weren't able to fix these issues even around the launch time window. And obviously that technical debt, like getting rid of some of these long-standing issues, is still a priority for us, and it's something that we've also made some progress on. Unfortunately, that was the biggest important thing for us to fix with this update. We also introduced another issue with specifically 1.1, which was the shader issue that you know about, the purple shaders. So as you might have seen on the test server last week, the special build that we've kind of had for a short time on the servers, the purple shaders seem to be gone, and we haven't received a single report. So hopefully when we go on the test servers now with the proper version, that should still remain a true statement, and then we should be back to normal when it comes to the shaders and graphical fidelity. We also fixed an issue that has been around for quite some time now with the invisible Windows shutters, where they wouldn't just render at a distance, so that if you would be staying back from like an area you know where players inside, they might think they're safe because they close the shutters, but you can actually still see them because the shutter doesn't render for you, giving you a pretty big advantage. So obviously that's annoying. So we fixed that. And there has been a couple of ongoing improvements also for like the whole discussions, which is just a multitude of different issues, very often also depending on specific routing of a person to our servers or their ISP. So it's not necessarily always a server issue. Very often it's a mix between issues of infrastructure on our end, but also possibly like unique attributes of one's personal like landline or whatever. So there have been some improvements to how we handle disconnects, rubber banding, etc. So that should be like improved. Will it be all be fixed? No, of course not. But that's why it's important you still reach out if you have issues like that to our customer support guys. They usually respond very quickly, and they also have the means to really see what's wrong in your particular case, and then maybe help you to fix it on your side or fix it on our side.
Exactly, and I do see someone mention I still have pink shaders, but that's because it's not live yet. So it is for the new update. So definitely let us know if you still experience it when the test server goes live.
Yep. All right, so that's the fixes. Then we have a couple of smaller updates as well. Hellhound adjustments. So this one is
adjustments.
They will see anyways.
I bet that the CC. I bet when I say adjustments. See, the CC, the closed captions will say it correctly. Adjustments.
And what we have done here is primarily to adapt to some of the new weapons also. We introduced a new one-shot rifle, medium bullet. Can be very frustrating. So one of the things we always kind of didn't like so much about the Hellhounds was we already have the one with the mask, which makes it very hard to headshot them anyways, which is intended. At least make it easier to actually headshot the Hellhounds with the normal weapons. So what we've done is we normalized the Hellhounds headshot damage with, for example, the grunts, so that usually the distance you can one-shot kill a grunt with a weapon is also when you can one-shot kill a Hellhound with a weapon, to the head, that is. So just a normalization to make it a bit easier also for early game weapons to kind of overcome the full pack charging at you. Because it's just nothing more frustrating having four Hellhounds charging you. You have 6 shots in your revolver, and that means you have 2 shots per Hellhound, and it means you can kill 3. So that's been adjusted a little bit, and it's just a minor change, but I think people would appreciate that. Obviously, if you don't pay attention to them rushing you at the moment they are around you, you can still be in a world of trouble.
Yep.
What else have we done? We have done a bit of a melee damage increase for the machete and the cavalry saber. So that isn't so much noticeable in the PvP environment, actually. This is mostly in the PvE realm. So, for example, the saber we felt was not the ideal choice for players because you still needed two normal slashes for a grunt, and that was kind of a bit of an annoyance. So, the knife was usually just more economic to do it with the dusters. So in this case, for example, just doing a regular attack with the saber and hitting the head of the grunt will just decapitate him instantly. It will just take him off, and that makes it easier for you to choose whether you want to stab their armors, for example, with the heavy attacks, or if you just want to lash out to a couple of grunts. So having that melee option becomes a bit more of a interesting thing again.
Melee.
Close combat. All right, so nothing really too fancy there, but try them out. This has also been a bit of a standardization process, and you will realize in a second what I mean with that. So let's continue. New weapon variants.
Yeah, I already saw some people talk about some, wanting a Deadeye or a Marksman.
Yeah, so basically when we showed you guys these 2 guns last week, it was nice to look at them, I guess, and play with them, but they also were a bit bare bone, right? So we have a couple of variants for these weapons in stock as well, which will also be released with the upcoming update. So let's go through them. So we have the Marksman version of the Springfield 1866. So this is obviously something you can then unlock and kind of work through, which gives you an early game sniper option. Nothing too special to say about it. It technically is a marksman scope on the weapon, and therefore you get a proper sniper rifle early on in the game that you can actually do some damage with. And I think people will much appreciate that. We do have a video of it.
Yes.
So you can see fast reload rate. Also, as long as it's not too long of range, you can still go through easy, thin, wooden planks, like the fence line here. Obviously, it's not as powerful as a spark sniper or any of the other long weapons at distance. So, like, if someone is sheltering, you won't be able to really do much damage at long ranges. But I mean, since it's a medium scope, it's also more of a medium rather than super extreme long range weapon, anyways. So I think people appreciate that. And obviously, the bullet speed itself also doesn't make it the perfect sniper weapon because of leading. I think it's like, let me remember, 490 meters a second as a travel speed for the projectile. So it's a bit faster than Vetterli, but it's still not like the Sparks or some of the other long rifles, which have like 600 and more meters a second. All right, but there is more.
But wait, there's more.
So we also have a new set of sub-weapons for the Springfield 1866, which is the Compact family. So that basically entails a sawn-off medium slot sized version of this, which basically think of it as a budget Obras. Like, it gives you another option for combining medium weapon sets and just use it with a shotgun, for example, or just basically use it with any other weapon hand crossbow that you think is useful. Obviously, it still has the same 150 meter headshot range. The projectile travels a little bit slower. I think it's like 450 meters a second or so, just because it doesn't have the long barrel. And it has the usual weaknesses and drawbacks in terms of the melee. It's just like with a pistol, basically. It's not very, very sturdy. But it is there as a budget option, and it's very powerful. But that's not just the default one we have. It's also two variants, and the two variants are the Compact Striker, which basically has a knife attached to it. It looks like a gardening tool, but kind of plays exactly like if it would be a knife. So what does this mean is, like, it's not just a bayonet of some sort. It actually is a knife, which has an effect on both the regular melee attack and the heavy melee attack. So technically, if you bring that Compact Striker, you can leave your knife at home because it does exactly the same thing, and saves you that slot for maybe something else to go by. But obviously, you're now limited by having to use the one-shot medium ammo weapon it's attached to. And then we have the Compact Deadeye version, which is basically a sniper variant of that weapon. Deadeye being very short-range scopy, obviously, but there's one thing that's different, for example, to, let's say, the Nagant pistol, which is that this thing doesn't have a proper buttstock to actually, like, kind of stabilize the gun on. And that means if you want to snipe with it, if you want to use it, maybe you want to consider crouching, etc., because this thing sways a little bit more than your normal sniper scope does. But it gives you the additional range option, and it's basically a pocket sniper rifle right there for you. So we do have videos for those, I think.
I love how people say, the shovel, it's a shovel.
Yeah, it's like a shovel, like a gardening thingy, like what you use like to kind of unroot whatever things there, like work your bead. But it's deadly. Like, I mean, stabbing someone in the face with this one kills them just with a knife. So
shovel knife.
Go gardening. All right. There's like another view of them from the front. You can see, like, it's even that shovel has been kind of worked a little bit. It's been sharpened. It's being kind of like manhandled a little bit by the hunters in preparation to be used as a makeshift melee weapon. And as you can see, also the scope is positioned on the side a little bit of the gun, obviously because of the top loading mechanism preventing direct accessory on top. All right, so we do have videos. Let's start with the regular version. Yeah. As you can see here, like, if you don't hit them correctly, like this, you can only use like the regular melee, but as this thing can be loaded so quickly, actually you can even bring down a charging grunt after you hit him once, just because this thing is ready to fire in no time, where other weapons, pistols, just would need to...
Let's just redo the video. For some reason it's lagging.
It's not playing, or?
No, it was, but it was lagging.
Okay, well, play it again.
I don't know. I swear to God, this PC hates me. It's only doing the stream and it still decides to lag.
Well, it's fluid for me.
Let me see if I put it.
Was it the case with the Marksman version before as well?
Yeah, but sometimes. No, I think the other one works fine. It's just random when it happens and it makes no sense why.
Okay, I mean, there's not so much special to be seen in this video anyways. It's the default version. So yeah, it reloads like the other one, and the melee is weak. That's basically the takeaway here.
Yeah, the whole stream is lagging. It's just... Don't get it.
So I guess we are also lagging now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, too bad. Anything we can do with it? Let's go. Just move on to the next one.
Yeah, I'm actually curious why it's doing it because I already changed the settings last time to have not too many FPS.
Alright, just give us a second before we move on to the next video. Maybe we can fix it quickly.
I don't know. Uh-oh. No, 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 no. I'm just gonna see if I can...
So can we actually be heard normally? Is the voice fine?
No, they can hear us.
Is it stuttering as well?
No, the hearing is fine. It's literally just the camera that and the stream that lags. So that's weird because there's no frame drops ever. The CPU barely use anything. It's just weird.
Okay, well, as long as the voice is fine, at least they can hear us, and then we just have to see that we may play the videos a couple times, and then it should be fine.
Goddamn.
Okay, then we just move on to the next video. So next variant of him, that's the striker variant now. I mean, the good thing is all of that will be on the test server tomorrow, very likely. So people can just give it a try there in all the full glory. As you can see here, it's basically like a knife attached. So the weak attack for regular slashes, and then the heavy stab as the morph does for the heavy attack. Obviously, this comes with a drawback, right? The drawback is that if you now encounter an emulator, you just can't like stun lock them with normal melee attacks. You will actually have to switch weapons in order to not pierce them and therefore ignite them.
Yeah, it wants to update our Windows, but I've said no 3 times now.
Maybe it's downloading some weird stuff.
I think so, though. Let me see. 1 sec.
In the meantime, I'm gonna play the video one more time. As you can see, like the normal attack just takes 2 steps because it's a little bit weaker.
Yeah, I'll probably have to restart.
You want to do restart or you just continue?
Yeah, I might just do a quick restart of
Okay.
OBS. Okay.